doing part 2 of Pronouns episode, special episode of GEEKCASTER. I'm Michael 7 Michael. We have Sammy's Plants, we have Miss Stevie, and we have Dayveonne Bussey. All right, so this was so we're gonna start it right over here. So basically growing up, it was really simple. You're straight, bi, gay, or asexual. That was it. And really, as simple as that was, it was more seeming like, can I get with you? Are you interested in that? That's also what people really wanted to know. No one really cared what you were really doing. It was just like, can I jump in that pool? No? Oh, okay, cool. Boom. Fast forward in time, there's like all these different complicated, I'm two-part milk, 5-part sugar. I'm like, what the hell? It's too much. It's too, stop. There's not, I'm 2 degrees, no, you like everything. It's okay. You like nothing. That's okay. You like yourself. Good. Someone's got to love you. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's happening here? And it had nothing to do with how you dressed, what music you liked, how you express yourself fashion-wise or art-wise, or whatever like that. Didn't even matter what job you had. It didn't really matter. Now it's like complicated. How do you guys think it got so complicated? What happened?
That's a good...
Everybody jumping on this. I know y'all have some idea.
I already said what I gotta say. I don't think the only thing that got complicated was people trying to put people in categories, and so thus we made more categories. I really think it's just that simple, because at the end of the day, even the guys I knew that were like heterosexual, they be playing around in the locker room. Let's be real. And the guys, seriously, right? And I'm Atlanta. Hello. Okay.
Oh,
right.
Wow.
So let's be
fired.
real. There were people in these, what we have now determined other categories, more than 20 years, forever, right?
Right.
It's just that other people needed a place to put them.
Okay.
And that's it. I have one gay male friend who made a comment to me. I was just asking him questions. I forgot what the question was. And he said he remembers when he told himself he can't be friends with straight men anymore because none of them are really that straight. And he was telling me some of his experiences of like, and one of them sticks out, so I'm just going to say the one. A girlfriend of his, like a friend that's a girl, and she had a boyfriend. And at a party, he was kind of hitting on my friend who is gay and who's kind of more femme. So this is a gay man who is a bit femme, more than a bit femme. Mm-hmm. And so his friend's boyfriend was hitting on him, and he's confused because everyone's understanding this guy is straight. And it got so bad that it just kept going on, where he really just felt harassed, not just at the party. This is like days and weeks later, even like just inappropriate touches. And I'm just telling you one story, and he had a few. And he said he just told himself, like, I'm not going to like really mess with these straight men because I think a lot of them are just like confused and they're not actually really straight. And so what I'm going to say is these categories were there without the titles. They always were there. But people needed a place to put them because people can't just be themselves, or other people can't let them just be. And
can you honestly say that came from the outside in or from the inside out? Because
I think it came from the outside in, and I will stick to it, and I'll tell you why.
I don't think that I have to, before you even say why, how would that even make sense? Because there's this whole thing of either not wanting to understand or a pushback to understand. So
I'm gonna tell you.
There's no way that could have came from the outside.
I'm gonna tell you right now.
Talk to me. Tell me.
All it takes is for somebody. I want to use myself as an example. Mm. People liked to call me an atheist. I didn't think I was an atheist, right? But they couldn't figure out, but you don't have a religion and you never grew up in religion and you don't really believe in any gods or whatever, right? I'm like, I don't consider I'm atheist because I believe in ancestors and spirit world and the connectivity of everybody, blah, blah, blah. And what I found was well, they needed to place me somewhere. So I was like, okay, just call me that. And I let them call me that. And I'm like, but I'm not that. So what happens is now I try to figure out, is there a name for me? Is there something for me? Is there a classification that can tell people so they can like put me someplace so they can understand?
Isn't it called agnostic or something? No, what
But
is
I'm
it?
not agnostic.
No, not
I'm not agnostic.
there's atheist that doesn't believe in God, and what's the other one? There's one that doesn't know.
Agnosticism, no, doesn't they question the belief in God, but I don't question it either. So I'm not either.
Yeah.
But my point is, I'm here searching for a name for myself to satisfy the outside world. That is how these other terms come to be. It's the people within them, the people that have a spectrum in their sexuality that are trying to satisfy other people, annoying them, asking all these questions, being in their business, and they're trying to figure out, well, what is the term? And that's how the term's going to be.
Think? You co-sign on that, or you agree, disagree?
So wait, I just want to make sure it's clear. I'm not saying the outside world is the one creating the names. The outside world is creating a pressure that people within the queer bubble
into their
have
category.
to feel that they have to create something to satisfy these people on the outside so that you can categorize them here and there. That's what I'm saying.
Agreeance? Disagree? Or logical?
I agree. I agree. It definitely is pressure. You know, you've got the outside world looking and saying, okay, you need to be in this category. You need to fit this category, this category. I think when it comes to gender and sexuality, people should just be free to be their own. You shouldn't have to pressure someone to, you know, fit in a category or a label. Remember, Raven caught some backlash for that. For her comment, she said she didn't want to be labeled as a black woman. I know for me, it's a little bit different. I clearly want to be labeled as a black woman. I can't hide it.
Okay,
so
let's hold on. Let's use that. Let's use that for a second. This is a great. I like this. So there's this thing, right? Now, mind you, you notice up until now, we we just talked about labels. We didn't even get to really the pronouns yet. Even though that's what the episode's about. So we have to make that turn. But yeah, I mean, it goes to, I guess, observing Ravens like the science. Your mama black, your daddy black. I mean, for you to sit there and be like, you ain't black, it's like, I want to rock with you. I like you, but I'm trying to understand. I just want to understand. I'm not judging. I just want to, Raven, I just want to understand. I bought that single. I just want to understand. Because you had that one song, remember? With the Jeep. You remember when? Oh, you ain't a fan.
Nope, I'm not a fan.
Wait, what? Raven Simone, remember she had like a rap album or something?
Oh, God, no. Jesus Christ. That's what every mama wants a rapper.
Oh, man. Come on. We miss you. We miss you, Raven. Little Raven. Anyway. She was so cute.
Dayveonne, I want to hear your opinion.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You want
stay quiet.
I really... Okay. Well, my opinion is, growing up in a Christian home, we all know that there is some, like separation between, like, people believe that men and women, that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can't contradict the whole other pieces of the word by saying, love thy neighbor. And because at the end of the day, we got to love you regardless. I'm not here to judge. And that's what it says in the Bible. We're not supposed to judge. Only God is the judge. But at the same time, I'm just going to keep it like that. Like, because I feel as though everybody should be welcome. And I do agree. I definitely 100% agree that everybody should come together and not be ridiculed about what they want to be and what their sexual orientation is. I'm just going to keep it like that.
That's it. I mean, that's interesting. I mean, the thing is, I feel that they're different topics. I think that's also part of the problem. Everything gets kind of put in the same gumbo. Which
right.
We were trying to mention the last episode, because sexuality, what one is into, one decides to do, or one decides not to do, different than how you want to present yourself.
Right.
If I want to dress up like a clown every day, I'm presenting myself as a clown. That's what I want to do. I feel that I want to have a red nose and da-da-da, and I want to juggle down the block. I have the right to do that. No one, if I'm not hurting nobody, it should be that simple. You know?
Right.
So it's interesting. Like, I think that, like, a lot of the discussions quickly, the problem is it quickly goes into biblical stuff. It quickly goes into these other things with, you
Right.
know, and I don't, and do you guys agree? Like, you can't just quickly put these things in all one.
Right. I do agree with that. Like, I don't feel as though everybody should be shaming people because, oh, this is what this is. At some point, you have to think about, like, are we constantly contradicting the actual setup? And are we trying to so-called claim that we're helping the people that we're actually hurting? That's when we come to the Killmonger aspect. Yeah, we want to help, but we also hurting at the same time.
Child, you know, I'm not a church person, so I don't know. All I do know is I spend a lot of time in churches because I played organ in many churches, Pentecostal, and I went to the Episcopalian school and a Catholic school.
What?
And everybody, to me, all them people up in the church were queer as F. Okay?
I agree.
Okay? So all the things I need to say, and then I'm like, but y'all?
Well, again,
But
to be fair,
but I feel as though with that, there was a lot of self issues with them as individuals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They haven't actually either came to like understanding themselves. So that's something they have to do within them and say, look,
well,
if
again,
I'm going to
because I gotta totally do the whole journalistic thing. I gotta play advocate on it, whether I agree or disagree.
Go ahead.
Because let's go the extreme. If Ralph liked men, but he was heavily, he's like, let's say he's Roman Catholic, he said, you know what? I don't want to act on whatever feelings because according to doctrine, my understanding, this is what I should or shouldn't do, and they become a priest, and they just live the rest of their life as a priest, just because they don't. So, I mean, someone could have a desire versus someone acting on it. Those are two different things. And even just if you push sexuality aside, I can wake up every day and want to kill people.
Mm-hmm.
But if I put myself in position, and I don't do it, I'm not acting on that desire or that quote unquote sin. So you could have a bunch of people that are battling. I mean, church is the place, or temple or synagogue. That is a place to battle whatever demons you feel that you have or the demons that you have. So to be fair, you know, that, I mean, you know, really, really depends. But like, I think I know you don't want to hear that, but it is what it is. But to push your particular, whatever you feel, I think at this point in society, to push whatever you feel and to push that on other people, I think we're finally turning the corner where it's just not socially acceptable to do that. Now, it could be only because we're in the metropolitan areas, but I feel that things overall are getting better when it comes to that.
Maybe, but those camps still exist in America, or where people try to send their homosexual children. I forget what you call them. They still exist. They're getting banned in certain countries, but they still exist in America. So, like, it's getting better, like you said, in the metropolitan coastal areas, but it still really exists. And even within the cities, I mean, I think we talk this way a lot, and I do talk this way a lot as a New Yorker. Like, we're so open, but we're still not. Like, there's still a whole bunch of transphobia, homophobia,
racism,
all of that stuff in New York City.
Misogyny.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we have 15 minutes on this episode, so we have to turn the corner into pronouns. We can, at another date, we want to jump into more sexuality and this and that and different viewpoints. That would be great. But let's spend the next 15 minutes on pronouns. So, trying to understand, so you have certain groups, whether it's churches, whatever like that, politics. What are you doing? I want to control what you do. I have issues with what you do. Whatever doctrine, right? Their understanding of their word of what people should be. And we said in the last episode, well, then there's this pushback of, well, I'm going to keep redefining things. So I'm going to keep redefining this so you can understand it. Get it to your head. I want to live the life I want to live. I want to do what I want to do. Right? Is that a good recap quickly of what we talked about last? Maybe, right? So what is the baby of all that? Pronouns. Where now you have a life experience. I was teaching, and the girl was in like the 6th grade. Well, I said, oh, excuse me, because we were doing some sort of, had these science guys come in, this computer thing. She having an issue with the internet. She turned around to me and said, don't refer to me as a she. And I was just, I was like, okay. And I did not respect that totally, but I was just so shocked. 6th grade, So how far do we go? Because I know since then I've heard a lot of people saying refer to themselves as them or they.
They and them.
And then I thought about it. Well, if I'm in the store and a cop comes up to me and what happened? They stole that candy bar. Well, who's the they? They. I mean, we were raised that they is like a bunch of people, not one person. So, like, how far do we go where we're just reconstructing the English language? Even past what we just basic things, because we basically use, depending on where you live, the same language just to communicate ideas, just for us to deal with each other. So at some point, we have to have something that we're all on the same page. We just can't randomly keep changing things, because then how are we going to deal with each other?
I would actually push back and say we're always reconstructing any languages, including English. Even if you want to talk about something like staying on the same page, saying it's going to be a hot minute, certain people still don't understand what a hot minute really is. They think it's a minute, and they don't realize it means a long time, right? Like, that is real. Like, I went through that.
Yeah, that's slang depending on where you're at, but there's some basic things that if you're, no matter where you are, I'm just saying because we all speak English, anywhere we are on the planet that speaks English, there's certain things that just, they have definitions, they have, just so we can deal with each other. And dealing with each other creates a bridge to love one another. So if we constantly keep breaking down ways for us to deal with each other, how are we ever going to love one another or understand each other? Write that down so I can put that in my book. That was fire.
Okay, give me 1 second, sir.
That was hot. Go ahead.
I will also just very casually say the idea of calling a singular person they or them is not foreign to English grammar. It is used in literature when you describe someone that you don't know or someone that's not there. Well, that's what they did when we mean either like he or she too. So it does kind of exist.
That's not proper. That's arguably not proper. I've heard people
That's
argue
not
that.
true.
I've heard people
That's
argue
not
that.
true.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it true?
I've heard people argue that. They're not a they because it's one person. I think I got in trouble. And now I think about it, a paper in like grammar school. Like, wait, they was him. He didn't. Yeah, so anyway. Yes, Stevie, I got in trouble a lot for thinking outside of the box. Thank you very much. Dayveonne. Because you're smirking.
What I do?
I don't know. You're always in trouble. But where are we going with it? Where do you, I mean, is it something that, like, is just going to keep, like, where do we say, okay, this is what it is, where everyone could be satisfied? Or it's just a thing where humans, and they're never satisfied, and it's just, we're never going to give one big united hug. It's just not going to happen.
I would say...
all of you were like, well, love one another. At the same time. Like, it's not happening.
Well, no, I would say your example of like, you're trying to describe something to somebody using the word they, but you feel like it's not as specific. There are times that sometimes, even if we're just working in the binary of he and she, where people don't know. And when I shave my head, people could call me sir until they realize. Mm-hmm. And if never cared. So like there's an existence already of like, oh, I believe they were a woman, right? People will do whatever they need to use a description if they have to. When people know personally, that's different though. I feel like it's just a different thing to compare. Y'all can go.
Y'all can go.
Absolutely, I agree with what Sam just said, and it's all about education. It's all about, even when I'm booking interviews for my show, like some of the guests that I've had come on, they ask me, "What would you like me to refer to you as?" And I let them know, she, her, she, hers, miss, ma'am. Those are my pronouns. Otherwise, educate people. It just takes time and understanding. And times are definitely changing. Like I'm 28 and I'm a millennial, so growing up back then there wasn't even really terminology for this. It was just he, she. But now so many letters, being a part of the LGBTQ community, or what some people would consider as the diversity community. We're so multifaceted. We're trans, intersex, non-binary, pansexual. It's so many different terminologies, even for me and my community. And T.S. Madison said something one time on her podcast, and she was meeting a fan. I think she was doing something for one of her shows. And she said, "Well, baby, what do I call you?" And they were like, "They, them." So she was like, I understand that, but what should I sign this to? Or who am I taking a picture with? Right. And it was kind of, in a way, she kind of laughed at it because she really didn't know at that time. So it just takes understanding and patience. Just sit down and have a conversation or message somebody. That's the correct way to do it, without having to step on somebody's toes.
Have you ever referred to yourself as them or they?
Yes, absolutely.
And why?
Because there was one point in time.
Explain to me why you decided to do that.
Because at one point in time I was just like, experimenting. But I'm like, now I'm secure and I'm happy within my own gender and in my identity. Because a lot of people don't really have that. They don't have that support from their families. And I'm down here in South Carolina. So it's the heart of the Bible Belt. Yes.
You need to move.
It's very...
You need me to find you a place? Sheesh. What are you doing down there?
People down here have now kind of grasped with pronouns. They're slowly but surely coming into their own. But then you have some that are still kind of closed-minded. Like, to what? Why are things kind of like this? Why are things changing? Because we're not supposed to stay the same. We're supposed to evolve,
Great answer. We're supposed to evolve.
I also want to say one thing. So I grew up learning French, and then halfway through my childhood, I started to learn Spanish. And just the concept that there was no gendered, like belonging pronoun. So meaning like, oh, that's yours. Like it's hers or his. They don't have hers or his. It's one word. It's Sue, no matter what gender. And I remember thinking, even as a kid, I'm like, that's so smart. I wish English was like that. Right? I think that, we will figure our stuff out as we keep moving forward. It's something that really isn't as necessary as we think, because Spanish has been using Sue forever. And yeah, that's just like with the belonging of something, not like saying his or her, but still it means something. And even just as a kid, to me, that always made sense. It just made sense. We have other descriptors to describe, but we will find our way. I actually have this thought that when we finally categorize ourselves to death, everything will fall off and there'd be no more categories. And we just are.
You're so cute.
Shut up.
I don't think that will ever happen, and I can tell you why.
No, but what if? It's always a what if.
It never happened. You know why? Because it's part of our DNA as human beings, as our creature. Everything must be named and categorized. That's just innately. There's no way around it. Even like younger, like, like as a musician, well, I'm a little bit of this, I'm this and that, I'm that, or I'm nothing, I'm just and I get it. As an artist, and especially young, as an artist, you're creative, but even for whatever you're creating, fashion-wise, talk shows you do, there's nothing that you can do that you don't have to somehow package it for people to make it accessible and to consume. So this is why there's no philosophy, there's no piece of work, there's nothing that doesn't have some sort of category. We call the water water. So as soon as I say water, you know what that is. You know what I'm talking about. Now you don't know what body of water, you don't know, but I heard of water before. Okay, now let's talk. So it's important that at some point we can't just keep making, I guess we could constantly make new things up, but if we start calling computers apples and a piece of tape a pen and shoes a kite, we're just confusing ourselves. And we're going farther away from loving each other and giving each other a big hug of like from we said in the last episode, where if we constantly have to push out our chests to like, I want some respect of who I am and what I'm doing, and then if the other side keep like arguing about, well, let people be who they are, we're never going to get in a point of peace. It's just not going to happen.
I would also like to point out that we're talking about shows that really like delve into the pronoun world. Shameless is another good one where they have a few seasons of that.
By the way, anyone watching the show, we said check out what we did: Pose, Euphoria, Grand Army, Shameless,
Sabrina.
Sabrina.
Yeah.
Yes. And also shout out a friend of mine who's just nominated for a Guild Award as a stylist on Pose. My friend.
What's your friend's name?
Yeah, what's your friend?
Nice.
Congratulations, Janai.
Congratulations, Janai. That's how you say it? Janai, my friend. All right, so we're going to wrap up. Any last thoughts, things you want to put out there about pronouns? Let's start out with Dayveonne.
Like, I'm still learning, and I'm going to be honest. I'm still learning. It took me a while because there was mistakes I did. As a person that's walking into the transition to knowing these words. Now, from clarity and understanding, it's still a process. I'm still learning. So it's going to give me some time. That's the best way I could put it.
And I'll say, I don't know, maybe it was not having the religious influence, but it was always very easy for me right away. It was never even a question. It was just like, oh, that makes sense. But also as somebody that hires Gen Zers and young millennials in New York City, that whole world I'm immersed in. I'm immersed in non-binary, gender non-conforming. I'm immersed in it. So like, this is kind of like my world. And I know that if I leave like super liberal New York little spaces, it'll be looking very different. But I'm glad that I can be like the non-queer cis woman that can set other people straight for my other human beings out there.
Miss Stevie?
And again, I say lead with love and understanding. Always talk to someone. We need to have a conversation without having to go at each other's throats. Sit like this is the way you do it. Lead by example, 100%.
Can I say something?
No.
I would say this, man. I don't think anyone should really care. Just do what you need to do. It's not that simple because the more you care and push back, you're making life more complicated. Just keep it simple. Boop, boop, boop. That's it. Boop, boop, boop. That's it. And let's have a party together and have a good old time. If you don't want to be with them, then don't worry about it. They won't be with you. Don't worry about it. It's like, but I would say for those just like, if you, every other day you're changing, like don't feed into the pushback. Have patience on the other side too, to be like, you know what? This is because you can't assume people are just going to know, because now you're breaking down and changing the English language. So you got to kind of like, okay, because everybody grew up learning different things. And we're running out of time before it blocks out. Love you.